Who's Scott Israel, and what do we really know about him? Well, he's that colorful, brash, outspoken Broward County sheriff who's been speaking for law enforcement since the Valentine's Day massacre at Stoneham Douglas High School. Just 8 days after the shooting, before his department had even concluded its own investigation, Sheriff Israel found time to join a CNN town hall where he decided to join forces with the pro-gun control lobby.
18-year-olds should never have a rifle. An 18-year-old kid should not have a rifle. 18-year-old kid, they're not adults yet. They're in high school. These kids should not have a rifle. Automatic rifles should be outlawed forever. And anybody who says different, I don't know about other people, but Emma and I, we're calling BS on that.
I'm sorry, but he's such a blowhard. I mean, the sheriff had to know that automatic weapons that he referenced in that soundbite were banned by the feds years ago, and that the NRA does not advocate for legalizing them, Sheriff. You got to know that, or you shouldn't be in that job at all. But who the heck cares? Because it sounded good in front of that crowd, and it brought the audience to its feet. And just a few days later, Israel revealed the existence of videotape and a little piece of information that I thought was kind of important.
Well, what I saw was a deputy arrive at the west side of Building 12, take up a position, and he never went in.
Well, once that choice piece of information became public and more began to trickle out about the department's handling of at least 23 calls to the Cruz residence, Florida Governor Rick Scott and others asked for Sheriff Israel's resignation. Now, yesterday, the not camera-shy sheriff was asked about the calls for him to step down.
I've given amazing leadership to this agency.
Amazing leadership?
I've worked. Yes, Jake. There's a lot of things we've done throughout this. This is you don't measure a person's leadership.
You don't measure a person's leadership. Well, yes, we do measure a person's leadership. Look, police in Broward wear body cameras, and we know there was security camera footage because authorities refused to publicly release it.
We're not going to disclose the video at this time, and we may never disclose the video, depending on the prosecution and the criminal case.
That seems really bogus to me and really weird. We may never release the video? We've already seen video of the kids leaving the building. And so why won't the sheriff release the video that would arguably be of the most interest to the public? Now, the video reveals how Officer Peterson and other deputies responded to this active shooter situation. It's kind of important, don't you think? Now, could it be that the video would be perhaps highly damaging to the sheriff's office and perhaps to the sheriff personally? And back to his appearance at that CNN town hall meeting. Why on earth did he choose to go on TV to make himself the center of this heated political debate? Is that really his role? Then he went on television the next week, just yesterday, to praise his own leadership as amazing. It's just bizarre. And by the way, this wasn't the first time Sheriff Israel ignited controversy for making himself the main attraction. Back in September of 2015, he took major heat for putting his big face on 5 taxpayer-financed Broward Sheriff's Office cars. Now, they were called, jokingly, Israel mobiles. And to a lot of people, well, just look at them. They were more about politics and policing, although it's a very good rap of that automobile. Now, the cars were to be assigned to members of Israel's community outreach team, which itself had been staffed by, it looks like, just the sheriff's campaign supporters. He got hammered for that as well. Well, just a few hours ago, the Ingraham angle received copies of internal emails from a source close to the Broward Sheriff's Office, which has since been confirmed by a second source this evening by one of our producers. Now, it urges all staff members to vigorously support Sheriff Israel, in Reed's and Pertner part, at the moment we find our agency up against a flurry of media allegations and a personal attack against our sheriff, Sheriff Israel, Sheriff Israel stood with us, and now we must stand with him. It's important that they know we stand as one. The focus should be on getting to the bottom of what happened leading up to the shooting, not some CYA deal for the sheriff. We need to know about the actions of law enforcement on the day of the shooting. Shouldn't be about saving Sheriff Israel's job, because that would be really pathetic. Now, the governor yesterday announced that Florida's Department of Law Enforcement will investigate Broward County's response to the shooting, with which Sheriff Israel said he would cooperate fully. Now, President Trump met with the governors today at the White House, and they discussed school safety and the aftermath of the Parkland shooting.
We have to take steps to harden our schools so that they're less vulnerable to attack. This includes allowing well-trained and certified school personnel to carry concealed firearms. At some point, you need volume.
Well, before this administration, in the end, embarks on some legislative response to this shooting, the president should request that Attorney General Sessions open his own federal investigation into this entire matter. And that means not only examine what happened on that horrible day, but also the FBI's failure to follow up on critical tips, the school's internal disciplinary records, and Broward's own interactions with Cruz and his family. No law-abiding American's Second Amendment rights should be diluted or compromised before we know exactly what happened from the moment that first distress call came into the Broward Sheriff's Office. And Sheriff Israel should spend a lot less time patting himself on the back and a lot more time being transparent with the public that demands answers. And that's the angle.